Welcome once again to the Easy Motion Studio. Today we're going to take a look at what is right now my most recent painting. And once again, it's an example of my philosophical art, and I actually presume that almost everything I do is philosophical art at some point or another. But this is quite explicitly so because it shows the human condition, and it also employs a number of diagrams that are used to explain at a more fundamental level how that condition comes to be what it is. The title of this work is Illustration for a Manual of Philosophy. So quite explicitly talking about the philosophical sensibilities which came to form both the imagery, but hopefully as art it speaks at a much broader level than just the philosophical concepts that are among the elements embedded within the composition. So illustration for a Manual of Philosophy, or Skybar. And Skybar, of course, is the setting we see here. There was originally a sketch made, I believe it was around 2006, possibly 2005, when I was traveling between Elmira and a Financial Planning Association seminar, and the sketch I called Sky Bar, somewhere between someplace and home. I don't know, something like that. I don't remember quite. But anyway, this sketch here lived in one of my notebooks, and it became this painting. What I thought we'd do is take a look at some of the philosophical elements that are here in this painting. The most important element is shown here. If we can see this W and M, and that W and M stands for world and me. World is actually spelled out here, and there is in fact another me shadow. If we look at the arms of these men at the bar and this whatever it is, this obvious E, that there is the W and the world. So my basic philosophical thesis is we can't get away from the fact that we are intrinsically attached to the world at a very particular point. The world opens for us as the great magnitude of cosmic events, both minuscule and seemingly unimportant, and earth-shattering in their impact, I suppose. But here we see people sitting in this bar, and you know, as I do a critique of contemporary culture, most people spend most of the time being totally distracted, and I suppose one would say that people hanging out in the bar are doing their damnedest to be distracted, and they wind up being very, very present, totally bodily, viscerally there in the bar. But I suppose what intrigued me about the work as it unfolded, number one, of course, is that it was exactly that, an unfoldment. It was sketched and onto the canvas, and then the painting evolved with its the mixing of colors and the applying colors to areas, and it astounds me when you get into a piece of this size, at least for me, how quickly I stop really making decisions in the sense of planning and trying to control the work, and various incidental activities will overtake me. But you see, there's just a number of areas here that have incredible, I shouldn't say that about my own work, I suppose, but they have suggestibility, which I think in a work of art, suggestibility is its hallmark in a way. A work of art has the possibility of providing you with a way to let your imagination run free, but not free, guided in a way by these colors, these shapes. Your brain can't quite name them all or make sense of them, and yet it's somehow pleasant, somehow powerfully instilled within the things themselves. Like, what is this thing? But it certainly seems to be something. And it certainly seems to belong where it is. And this, what is this thing? And that. We know the glass, we know the E, we do it the hands, we know the people. But this person, back to philosophy, back to critique. She's the only one on her cell phone. She's not viscerally present. She's off somewhere else, and her face shows it. Her world is contained in her head, and her visceral self is basically her talking into her phone. She does have a lovely coat, though, doesn't she? It blends so well with her purse. What that is, I don't know. But at times I see it as the head of a bird. See that head of the bird? The bird. Another bird as well. I think we have one up here too. Oh yes, there's another bird. Is that a bird? I don't think so. Maybe. But all these little paintings within the painting, to me, give it a great deal of excitement. And the way the fan, if that's a fan, and a very strange fan indeed, but I think and then the light doesn't so much belong to the object, but it belongs to the room somehow. It's part of the atmosphere, and yet it quickly dissipates. And we would think it was exit, but there's our philosophical sign again. And strangely enough, there's another philosophical sign, the MW, the me world, embedded here in this baby hung upside down from the wall. But the W is here and the M is here, and I don't know exactly what it says, but in its own particular enframement and hanging there in the room over the heads of the drinkers, although interestingly enough only one is drinking. This one is like reaching for something, but he's the only drinker. And this poor fella, oh man. I don't know if this is his wife, his girlfriend, his daughter. Well fed she is. And this little guy, what a little painting that is. But this thing here, do, do, go, go. And this just a piece, but well painted, not ignored, not ignored. That's part of the important thing. You know, because the painting demands attention as a piece of presentment, and even the brush strokes, the mud color, but still they're well made, and they allow other parts of the painting to jump out at you. Even this little guy at the corner, at the edge, and this filigree. And partly it was, I mean, largely it was response to the drawing, but the paint itself had its own limitations. And, you know, what called me to one piece, one part of it, another, I don't know. She somehow shadows herself, right? No facial features. She's just pouring herself into the gadgetry, limiting her world to what's in her head. It's very philosophically succinct in The Drinkers. Trying to distract themselves, unable to do so. You see how nicely this world seems to have a three-dimensional aspect, although it's clearly painted flat on the canvas. And you know, here, these are almost suggest a kind of realism, suggest a kind of personal presence, suggest being there at the bar with another drink in front of them. So you see the vast difference between distraction and non-distraction, but non-distraction become destruction? I don't know. But the accoutrements of the bar, rendered from the palette, colors mixed, design executed. So then we have the painting itself. And thanks for visiting the Easy Motion Studio.